This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, from the Fort Hall School of Government. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at some of the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 21st of July, 2022, and I am 2M.
I am Serbia.
And I am 2J, and in case you missed today's headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, Raila vows to repossess Ruto land. In the Standard, inside Uhuru's deal on Ugali. The Star, why Raila Ruto can't rest easy over power duel. And in the People Daily, price of unga slashed by half. So of course, I think the statement the president made yesterday has taken the headlines because he announced, Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday, the death and the funeral of the unga crisis.
Yes.
And while he did this, he asked the country a simple question. Is it a coincidence that during every election cycle, the price of unga goes up? And his answer was no. It is not a coincidence. There are people who are deliberately engineering and politicizing the hunger of Kenyans for their own gain.
Correct.
And the president's statement answered the cui bono question. That is, who benefits from the unga crisis? But today, I want to answer the question, why? So it's obvious what motivates the millers to create a crisis. Kenya shilling. But what does the political class gain by stirring anger at the expense of the ordinary citizen? Now, it's no secret that William Ruto is leading the charge on the unga crisis. But he is no good Samaritan.
Absolutely.
He is fooling the country and he is doing it well.
Yes.
Ruto has been listening when we say, never let a good crisis go to waste. So even if Ruto benefits from an unga revolution, why is he inciting the public? For me, the answer is simple. If Kenyans are distracted by the price of unga, they will not notice that William Ruto is a fraud. This is one of the oldest marketing campaigns known to man, borrowed from the Roman Empire, and it's called bread and circuses.
Yes.
Give the people free bread to keep them full and circuses to keep them distracted. And this concept was first described by the satirical Roman poet Juvenile. It describes the selfishness of the voters and their neglect of wider concerns. The phrase also implies the decline of civic duty as a concern of the commoner. The president mentioned that a lot yesterday.
Right.
Simply, the people exchange their freedom for a government that will fool them. And so how is all of this connected? William Ruto knows that the unga crisis is not as easy as he makes it out to be. But a crisis, any crisis, makes for damn good news. It also has the benefit of making him look like a man of the people. William Ruto also knows that ignoring the big picture reasons for the unga crisis will come to bite him later. But sticking to the easier script of state capture this and Uhuru Kenyatta that makes him look like a savior and a rebel.
Yes.
It does not matter if there is a war in Ukraine, if inflation has become a global problem, or that some of our food problems can be traced back to William Ruto himself as Minister of Agriculture when he was fired by Raila Odinga for alleged corruption.
Yes.
William Ruto has a script and he's sticking to it. Blame Kenyatta all the way at all costs and avoid the real issues. So to answer the question, why? Why is Ruto enjoying the unga crisis and what it actually means for Kenyans? In my view, it is because he knows that that if there is an object of aggression to blame, the public will not pay attention to him.
Right.
And with 18 days to the election, William Ruto is salivating at the possibility that he may just have fooled Kenyans and gotten away with it.
I think more of Kikuyus.
I think so.
Interesting. On to strategy and tactics. Sun Tzu tells us that if your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him.
Yes.
And today I must commend the president for doing this perfectly.
Yeah.
Recently, he has been UDA's object of aggression, even though he's not on the ballot or their primary competition. According to UDA, Baba is just mtu ya kitendawili, but Uhuru is the main threat. For instance, after the president announced the unga subsidy, UDA gave Uhuru 90% of their rally airtime in Kirinyaga and Kiambu yesterday. And we can bet you that Uhuru will continue to be the topic in the next 5 rallies of UDA. But in turning President Uhuru into their object of aggression, they have fallen for the president's trap. President Uhuru Kenyatta is acting like a lightning rod. Lightning rods are designed to protect a house or building from a direct lightning strike, and in particular, a lightning-initiated fire. They are metallic rods that are installed on the roof of buildings. Whenever there is lightning and it strikes near the house, these rods take the harmful electrical current and redirect it to the ground, where it can't hurt anyone.
Yes.
And this is what is happening with Uhuru.
Yes.
He continues to take the heat himself and shield Azimio, while distracting Kenya Kwanza minions. And this is a trap.
Yeah.
If Kenya Kwanza continue focusing on the president, they will lose the election. And they will lose because as they waste their precious time attacking Uhuru, they are underestimating Baba. And as a result, Kenya Kwanza are now left shadow boxing, looking like confused atoms as Azimio continues to advance on their territory. Kenya Kwanza believe that maligning Uhuru will draw a wedge between him and Kikuyus. And they hope that by doing this, Kikuyus will join UDA in droves. They assume if you hate Uhuru, you will love Kenya Kwanza. But this is not true. Just because I hate the sun does not mean I love the rain. And the same can be said of Kenya Kwanza. This is why, despite their extraordinary effort of fighting Uhuru this year, like their lives depended on it, the UDA nominations turnout in Mount Kenya was 2%. Not forgetting the loudest hornbills from UDA were also thrashed during those nominations. Clearly, their focus on the president is not providing the dividends they had expected. Remember that when you attack the president, he has nothing to lose. So he is more than willing to lose battles in order to win the war. This is because after 9th August, he is leaving office. So whenever he is attacked, he does not need to respond, because for him, it does not matter. And yet, Kenya Kwanza is still fixated on the person of the presidency. Why? Allow me to propose 2 reasons. 1, petty grievances, and 2, missing substance. For the first, perhaps the Udaku party has a bone to pick with the president. Under his term, the loopholes and gaps that enable corruption are being addressed. And under his term, Ruto allies that were in ministries riddled with corruption were fired, and some have been indicted like CS Rotich. That is why corruption scandals have drastically reduced during Uhuru's 2nd term.
Yeah.
Given that the Kenya Kwanza ticket is represented by 2 men with a list of corruption scandals longer than their list of achievements, is it possible that they are attacking the president out of petty personal grievances? Now, on to the second. Is Kenya Kwanza focusing on the president to distract from their lack of agenda? At the debate on Tuesday, Gachagua spent more time spewing Uhuru bile than breathing. He forgot that the point of a debate is to allow the public to vet manifestos and candidate track records. But instead, Gachagua focused on a man who wasn't even there, like a woman scorned. Perhaps the reason why Kenya Kwanza has fixated on the president does not matter. If indeed by Uhuru misdirecting the clueless rice and porridge ambassadors, he is giving breathing room for Azimio to campaign, then we must ask, is Azimio really leveraging this space and opportunity given to them? With less than 20 days to the election, they better.
Whoa. Many times in this platform, we have talked about the law of unrelated things. This is the phenomenon where seemingly unrelated things somehow appear to have a connection. Therefore, we want to ask, what does the death of an ICC witness on Sunday, the case of Paul Gicheru, and the August election have in common? But before we tell you what they have in common, allow us to tell you the story of one Christopher Koech. Last Sunday, ICC witness Christopher Koech died mysteriously in Kakamega. Koech, who had been at an undisclosed location for about an hour, was found lying on the road, foaming at the mouth and sweating profusely next to his boda. He was rushed to hospital, but did not make it. The man had been clearly taken out. Question is, by whom? But more importantly, who would benefit from the death of a border riding ICC witness? Our hypothetical opposition is Paul Gicheru and William Ruto. Why, you may ask? Christopher Koech was a key witness in Paul Gicheru's witness tampering case. Our hypothesis is Christopher Koech was killed because he could have submitted key evidence, not just on Gicheru, but on William Ruto.
Yeah.
Please note that all the Ruto Sang evidence has been added to the Paul Gisharu case.
True.
Back to the law of unrelated things. ICC will be, in the coming days, be ruling on whether Gisharu is guilty of witness tampering or not.
Mm-hmm.
If Gisharu is found guilty, Ruto is cooked.
Yeah.
An arrest warrant will be issued. You can take that to the bank. When issued, Ruto will be at the mercy of Uhuru Kenyatta. But more importantly, Martha Koome. In fact, Koome could be the force that will disqualify Ruto from the election. Can a Ruto disqualification happen with days to the election? Absolutely. On October 25th, 2017, David Maraga called for a special sitting of the Supreme Court to adjudicate on the nullification of the repeat October 26th presidential election, a day before a presidential election. What is my point here? If ICC issues an arrest warrant, Ruto will not be a suspect like he was in 2013. He will be an international fugitive with a bounty on his head. He will be in the same league as Omar al-Bashir, Bagbo, Charles Taylor and company.
Yep.
He will basically be unable to conduct government business. And that's because who would want to sign a bilateral agreement with a fugitive? How will Ruto travel to Unga in New York or Davos in Switzerland, knowing Interpol is waiting? Things are thick for Chief Hustler. ICC is his greatest fear.
Yeah. So the question is, what did Koech know?
Absolutely. They
That
must. You see, a man who's alive one moment, and he was with, I think, his family members. He goes out for an hour, comes back, and is found on the side of the road foaming. He could. His family say he was poisoned.
Yeah.
And
I think
why-
it means that maybe the heat is beginning to
It's beginning to
come in.
and,
Yeah.
and the fact that no one is reporting this, it tells you this is how Ruto wants it.
As always, did we not say the same thing as the Gisharu trial began? Why is the mainstream media, the fourth estate,
Yes.
failing to report on this international, proceedings that are happening? Don't worry, we're going to keep reporting on that. So on that note, we have a three-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines by. We ask ourselves, are the headlines topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, and finally thoughtful or just plain lazy? I quite like all of them.
Yes.
I'm interested to see how Raila vows to repossess Ruto's land.
I'd love to see that.
I would want to know what was on the inside dealings of this Unga deal.
Yeah.
Why Raila Ruto can't stay easy over power duel, and then the People Daily price of Unga slashed by half.
Yes.
I like the succinct, straight to the point nature of the People Daily.
Daily, absolutely. Price of Unga slash behalf.
So,
And if
are
you
we agreed?
Yeah, and if you Kikuyu loving, you Kikuyu supporters of Ruto, if you don't want to buy Unga, you can eat rats.
All right, so there we have it. The People Daily gives us our winning headline. We're not going to go to the cartoons today, but I believe Ozone gives us our winning cartoon as Gachagua goes for a jab at Martha and Martha ducks the jab. I quite
Absolutely.
like that one.
Love it.
So winning headline from the People Daily, winning cartoon from the Star. I have two quotes that I wanted to give today. The first is from Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "Nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and rigorous stupidity."
Yes.
Kenyans, take that how you will.
Kikuyus, take that how you will.
The second is by a man called Louis J. Free. He says, "The fraudster's greatest liability is the certainty that fraud is too clever to be detected."
Hey,
So if
yes.
you know that a fraudster is on the edge because you may be able to see their fraud coming, keep your eyes open. That one is for Kikuyus.
Yeah, Kikuyus, especially those ones in Muranga.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on your TV screens. We're on Pan Free to Air, GoTV and Star Times. Have a lovely evening and we will see you here tomorrow.
God bless.